The mid-18th century was a time of great change. America and her mother country were being slowly pulled apart by the political climate. Land that used to belong to the Native Americans was being opened up for colonial expansion. Culture, politics, religion, all of these things were experiencing revival and change and revolution. And into the middle of this time period was born Abigail Adams, one of the most prolific women in American history. Today, I want to discuss her political career, her family life, her contributions to our great country, and look at how she handled herself in this time of transition. One of the hallmarks of the Abigail Adams story is the great romance that blossomed between her and herself, John Adams. There is 10 years difference between them, but Abigail seemed to genuinely love John, and their marriage was delayed a year from 1763 to 1764 due to smallpox, but that didn't seem to slow down their passion for each other or the strength and structure of their family as the years progressed. She was a Congregationalist, but at the end of her life, she was buried in her husband's Unitarian church. Family was important to Abigail Adams. First, her father's family, her father was a parson, and second, her new family, the family she built with the second president. Abigail and John Adams had 5 children. The first was born in 1764. Her name was Nabby, that was her nickname, but her real name was Abigail, named after her mother. Their parents loved her very, very much, and a second child was born in 1767, their son, and the 6th President of the United States, John Quincy Adams. They had another son, Charles, and a girl named Susanna, who would later die at the age of 2. Their family was marked by tragedy, whether personal or political. They endured all. Life changed drastically for the family in 1774. Adams had moved them from Braintree to Boston, but in 1774 he was elected to the Continental Congress in Philadelphia. He went dutifully to represent his countrymen in the Congress, while his wife was left alone to take care of the children in a city that was going increasingly nuts. There is remarkable correspondence between the husband and the wife, and one of Abigail's motivations can be clearly seen in a letter she wrote to him in 1776, wherein she told her husband to be mindful of the ladies when writing and constructing the Declaration of Independence. This is a concern. This is almost a modern concern for women that Abigail shares with her husband, and a warranted concern. Did women have the same political rights as men in this new America? Is that what the world would look like? These questions she explored in 1776, long before any modern feminist movements. As the revolution progressed, so did the duties of John Adams, and his wife had to adjust her course following her husband's star. John was sent as an ambassador to Europe, and in 1784, Abigail joined him in Paris. She would also join her husband in 1785 when he was appointed the first diplomat to Great Britain after the war had ended. 1788 and 1789 proved to be a radical time again for the Adams family. This extremely, what must have been an exhausted family, was swept up again in the politics of the new nation as John Adams was appointed Vice President of the United States. He served as George Washington's Vice President, and in this position he pioneered what the job of a Vice President should be, what the expectations were. And when he succeeded to the presidency, he once again was in a position to affect change, but he wasn't alone. His wife was there with him, growing him, helping him, challenging him, becoming a sounding board and a wise counselor and a wise advisor for his policies. His presidency and the growth of the early American Republic was shaped by the influence and persistence of his wife. In 1800, Abigail and her husband John became the first presidential couple to move into the White House. The White House, built by slaves, was to be the residency for all American presidents, but Abigail was against slavery. She was an outspoken critic of the institution, and many times her words and actions led to pointed conversations where she denounced the practice and called America to a higher standing. In the same year they moved into the White House, personal tragedy yet again struck as their son, Charles, died at the age of 30. Charles had many problems. Abigail loved him dearly, but he died at 30 years old from complications arising from his alcoholism. The death of Charles marks the third time that John and Abigail Adams have lost a child. They lost Susanna, they lost Charles, and years before they lost a child who was stillborn. This type of loss is not uncommon to families, but when it is viewed in the context of revolution and nation building, one can sense a very great strength present in the character of Abigail Adams, who carried her family through both political, national, and these deeply personal pains. She is an American hero. She undoubtedly is, not just for what she endured, but for the legacy she created in her enduring.
To the surface and just start again.